Well, Winter, thank you so much for allowing me to come visit your space here, this new studio that you have in the Pine Studio. When I heard about it, I had to come out and see it because I saw some of the pictures you had posted online, and I'm like, I just need to see this space. So I have to ask, what made you want to get this, to start this up, to create in the Pine Studio?
Well, it was kind of by accident. Um, I had recently moved to Wisconsin, and the house we bought kind of came with this large studio space. Not a studio yet, but it was
Hmm.
whoever lived here before kept a lot of toys and woodworking supplies in here, a big boat. And it was a pretty much of a blank slate when we got here, and just kind of walls that were wrecked, and I just knew I needed to kind of spruce it up a bit. And what actually ended up happening was my sister threw me a big birthday party, and she wanted to use this space for it. So because of that, we were doing everything we could to kind of make it look great,
Sure.
and did a lot of sort of art installations in here, and went antiquing and thrifting to get like cool things in here. And then it kind of just grew from there. After the party was over, I was like, okay, now what? Now what do I do with this space? So yeah, it became this art studio for myself, like this
Mhm.
sanctuary for me as an artist. And then it every day there like a new idea came. In
Sure.
fact, there was a dream I had, this vision of what I wanted it to look like. And I started to just get to work, and was like, I need to share this with everyone around here, and especially in this community that I want to be building, and finding community, finding, artists of all kinds. And I was like, this would be so great to have like meetups and performances, and
Mhm.
to kind of share this space, and use it as a sanctuary, not just for myself, but for others.
And why Stevens Point? I have to ask because just
The
because
most random
of
place.
all the locations, we because you're an artist of many talents. You also acting. Some people may recognize you from a few familiar films.
Mhm.
So I always consider Stevens Point like the farthest away from Hollywood or anything like that. So
Bingo.
that's why.
Yeah, I lived in New York City for about 13 years. Then I
Sure.
lived in LA for 4 years. I started to have a family, and my husband's also a filmmaker, and we would make some movies together. But ultimately, what ended up happening was we really wanted to get out of a city
Mhm.
environment. And the way that the industry was manifesting and changing rapidly, my industry, you didn't necessarily need to live in a
Mm.
filmmaking or actors hub
Sure.
anymore. So we were like, well, where do we want to raise our kids? And who do we want to be around? Who do we want to surround ourselves with? What kind of environment do we want to be in? And we moved around a bit trying to find that, and ultimately landed on
On Stevens Point of all
Stevens.
places.
It's like the tiniest town that I've ever lived in. And I'm so happy that we're here. Yeah,
Yeah, Stevens Point, I always call the biggest small town you'll find.
sure.
It's a city. There's 24,000 plus people, yet you wouldn't know it if you go
Yeah,
downtown or whatnot. It feels like a small town.
yeah.
But there's also a very active art scene in central Wisconsin, which I don't think. I think, did you find that when you started?
It was more than I thought
Mhm.
was here. Every day once we moved here, there was always something new that I was discovering, and I started to find my people, and was like, wow, I knew I was moving to a small town, and I knew
Sure.
I was kind of ready to be like, okay, I'm probably going to be the only artist here. Everything I do as an actor is like Zoom calls and on tape auditions, and then
Sure.
I can just fly to New York or LA if I have
Mhm.
to. But I started to discover that there were other artists here, and filmmakers as well, and that it's such a beautiful landscape. I got inspired to be like, I want to make a movie here, and I could do it out my back door if I wanted, you know? So,
Sure.
and then In the Pines was created, and I was like, this is great, because I now have a space where I can start attracting the people that I want to create with and
Sure.
collaborate with and find those artists. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a lot, you know, but there are some here, and man, I'll make them artists if I have to.
Yeah, make
You
'em
never know. I mean,
artists.
everyone's an artist, you know,
Sure.
everyone has something creative inside them that needs to be released.
Yes, I would say that there's creativity in just about everyone. But yeah, the Point also has always been a big supporter of the arts and such. And now you just started this up in the spring, and have you been getting a lot of bookings lately already for showings and such?
Not bookings. We're, you know, the space is for rent, but I
Sure.
haven't actually like booked it for a specific
Right.
something. It's all been the events that I've created. I'm having like an art exhibition in not October, August, and I've been doing these film screenings, and we have the filmmakers meetup is here once a month. And that's anyone who is in the film industry or does
Sure.
any kind of, it's more of like a multimedia
Mhm.
meetup, I would say. So not just filmmakers, but anybody who's sort of in the multimedia world in some capacity comes to these meetings, and they've been here, and it's been great. And yeah, and then I do my own personal like auditions in here. I use
Sure.
it for myself.
Mhm.
But yes, it's slowly, as more people are hearing about it, it's that kind of a space where it's going to be like word of mouth, and depending on someone's need, you know,
Right.
I'm here and available for people to just call me up and be like, hey, like, I need this space for a photo shoot, or even like a wedding, or
Well, this would be a great place
there's-
for a wedding. I love that with all the thrifting stuff you have. It's got
Yeah.
such great character in
for like
here.
a small intimate wedding. I mean,
Yeah.
my birthday party was in here, so parties as
Yeah.
well. We had this big long table, about 25 people sat around it, and like by candlelight, and there's all these wonderful chandeliers in here, and yeah, it's meant to be like this cozy, rustic, you know, down to earth type artsy space.
So you not only do acting, but you are an artist as well. You have paintings in that, correct? Do you do paintings?
I
Is that
do.
true?
It's really a hobby. I paint for myself, and I don't know. I love it. I grew up painting.
Mhm.
I actually think that was the first medium that I dabbled in before I became an actor. So yeah, art, like artistic expression, has been something that um, I will never get rid of. It's me. Like I
Sure.
always need these sort of creative outlets, whether
Mhm.
it be painting or woodworking or refurbishing furniture or gardening or acting. I sing and I dance. There's just like stuff inside me that needs to come out. So the one thing that I haven't actually done that I'm, you know, would say that I'm not proficient at is writing. And I have all
yeah.
these like stories and visions in my head of stories that I want to tell, but it's that's been like the one thing that's been hard for me to kind of get down on
Yeah.
paper.
Yeah, writing's tough for me too, but my wife makes me sound really good in my reviews.
That's
so
great.
she's my editor on all the things. I dump the ideas out, and then she's like, yeah, no, here we'll do it this way.
That's
But
nice to
because
have that.
writing is tough. I respect tough, but even painting and
Yeah.
all the other creative aspects you're doing. So, what was it that made you want to focus on acting then?
Well, I mean, I could go all the way back to when I was 10 years old. You know, my mom saw that I had all this extra energy in the house,
Sure.
and was making little plays in my living room all the time. And we happened to move to a little artist community called Charlottesville. It's in Virginia, and it's this big budding art scene, and they had great community theater. And my mom took me to an audition one day for Peter Pan.
Oh.
And yeah, I got the role of Tiger Lily, and I had so much fun with it. I had so much fun, and it was on this really big stage, and I just loved it. And I told my mom that I want to keep auditioning for stuff.
Sure.
And so, yeah, that kind of grew from there. It was kind of just an ongoing discovery. And then I discovered movies and like my favorite
Right.
movies and realized that I could, you know, do this as a living.
Sure.
And so then it became a bit more serious and I was like, I want to get better. I want to do this all the time. So I don't want to have like another kind of job. Like this is it. So I went to New York to study for it, and then that was it.
And then you got a role in Human Centipede for a segment.
Yeah.
And from there, you've done a number of other films, including Julia. I was trying to watch Julia before I talked to you because I just saw the trailer and read the synopsis, and that looked fantastic. And it looked like you got to really stretch your acting and get into the character there.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit with your creative process. How do you get into how do you get into an extreme role like that, whether or not it's, Human Centipede or whether it's Julia, or how do you kind of get yourself into that mode? Because those are extreme roles.
Yeah, they are. I would say, I'm very much drawn to characters with depth and stories to tell and characters that are interesting. And I would say that I don't have a specific technique or thing that I do. I just, I think for me, being truthful in the moment with these characters is something that I use all the time. And so I find kind of the parallels or the how I can relate to that character in some way. And I use what's already inside of me. And it comes out. Yeah. And somehow.
Yeah, I've only tried acting a few times, and I play me. That's who I play. So I mean, the fact that you're able to do that is always impressive. And then with Julia, you produced it as well?
No.
Or
no.
you didn't?
No. I met my husband, who was the writer director of that movie. We got together from doing that film together. We fell in love, and total cliche, but and some of those things don't ever last, but it did. So here we are now. But I did not produce it. I became eventually an associate producer after, for the marketing and getting it out there, because I was very much, I was the lead. I ended up, my husband and I at the time were dating, and I was like, I really want to help get this out there. And so we together I helped with that. So yes, I have an associate producer credit on the film because of that.
Okay. That's, I've been doing this for so long, and I still trying to know all the different positions, what they mean. It's recently I've talked to far more producers and realized just how much goes into that, and it's pretty crazy. Did you ever think of producing or maybe even directing?
I've definitely thought of directing. Producing, I've already produced, theater. I've produced theater before. I had my own production company in New York, and I don't really like producing.
Sure. It's not exactly, it's a profession that's only for certain people.
If somebody hired me for their own project to produce, I would say no. Wanted to hire me.
Right.
If it was my own baby project, then I would be a producer on it, but I probably wouldn't trust myself to do all the producing work, so I would have to hire out for more. But I definitely have some skill in that department that I enjoy.
But directing is of interest to you, for sure.
I've never done it before. I have a short film that I'm currently trying to write and finish, and so I will be producing that and directing it if I get it off the ground. But honestly, not... It's going to be like a small thing for myself, really. It's a story for me, but we'll see. Yeah.
Oh, that'll be interesting to see. I'd definitely be interested in that for sure.
Yeah, thanks.
And it's great to hear that not only are you doing this space, but you're still auditioning, and you're still acting, you're still active in the acting. You have anything coming up?
No, not
No,
at the
nothing
moment.
at the moment.
Just everything in the works.
Sure,
Just
yeah.
my husband and I are currently developing a TV series and a feature film
Oh,
that
exciting.
will both star
Sure.
myself. But of course, those things take time and effort and time.
Time always seems to be the
Yeah.
biggest factor with it.
But they're very exciting and unique, and I'm
Sure.
very excited for them to just get going. And they are. They're very much in the works. So once that does start, I can
Sure.
talk more about it.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely look forward to that. And do you have any advice for any young folks out there looking to get into creative endeavors such as this? Do you have any suggestions for them?
Well, gosh, just be a part of as many creative projects as you can. I think doing is learning. You learn so much from, whether it be just the tiniest role in something, whether behind the camera or in front, or any kind of stage work. I mean, audition for any kind of community theater project, even if it's not hugely professional. Being a part of something will give you experience, and experience is everything. And yeah, I mean, studying, I think, is very helpful. You learn some great techniques, and then you can kind of pick and choose what works for you. I think that is also very helpful. But don't spend a lot of money doing that, because at the end of the day, it's,
Yeah.
I feel like the most that I've learned is from actually being a part of projects, doing, you know. So not that my studying was a waste of time. I learned a lot, but, once you're out in the world,
It's different.
it's
yeah.
very different. And then you learn everything from being
Right.
on the set, from how it all works and observing. And so, yeah, just experience and do
Just
as
do.
much as you can.
And for In the Pine Studio, what is the scope? Where would you like to see it in say 5 years?
Oh gosh, I don't even know what's happening tomorrow. This is a small, intimate space. What I don't want is it to grow bigger than this,
Sure.
to be honest. Like I'm doing a lot outside of this. I'm a mother. I'm still an actor. This is my sanctuary, my space that I want to share with others. I would really love for it to have a community that knows, like, in 5 years, that like, oh yeah, In the Pines is the place to go if you want to be an artist. That's what I would hope people say around town. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Winter, very much for doing this. In the Pine Studio, folks, I'll have all the information, as always, in the body of the video, and hopefully this video turns out. So thank you very much.
Thank you.